Well, ba-da-ba-da-ba-ba. Here we are, episode 33, Brandon. I'm excited to be here today. How about you?
It's a good day. It's going
You
to be a fun
know,
day. It's going to be a
it's going
fun
to be,
conversation.
it is. We've got sunshine outside in Seattle. That's fantastic. We've got a whole list of questions that we've compiled over the course of, I don't know how long, for people that have been asking questions. And we tend to get really deep, right? We tend to get in the weeds when it comes to questions and technical questions and things like that. So today, I'm excited. We've compiled this list of questions that people want to know the answers to, and it's not just technical people, it's the business people. Oh, I got the shakes going on my camera there. It's business people, it's buyers, it's CIOs, it is managers. People want to understand, what is Teams Phone really like and what can you do with it? So what we've done is we've compiled a list today, and it's going to be 21 questions long, and we're going to pound through this. This is not going to be a whole fluffy show.
I'm going to try.
Everyone, you know, that's true. Brandon
I
does get
talk
a
a
little
lot.
long one. He does get
Not
a long
really,
one. And
but
I have to shut him down every now and then. I look at my shakiness on my screen. Anyway, we'll figure that one out. But all right, episode 33 underway, everybody. We've got some cards to show, but before we do that, couple of announcements. Number one, we've got an amazing show next week. Like, next week is fantastic. We're going to have Microsoft in the house, not just Microsoft in the house, but we're going to have the SLG OG guy,
the OG.
the OG SLG guy from Microsoft. And what is that? It's state and local government. So we're going to have a state and local government. John Horn's going to be with us tomorrow or next week, and that's going to be pretty exciting because we're going to explain how Microsoft Teams Phone can be used in local and state governments, how we're deploying it in counties and cities. We had a couple of weeks ago, we had a county on, and so this is just a great follow-up to have the SLG guy from Microsoft who's out, knocking on doors, or actually probably sort of fielding people off or holding people back. But, he's out talking to every government agency out there, that's state and local government agency. And he's got great insight into what they're looking for and what's important to them, and how Teams Phone can support them. So it's going to be pretty exciting next week to have Microsoft on the show. Now, one more house cleaning item. Brandon,
I think we got a headset to give away.
got a
I
headset.
I can't see the model. Yealink BH71 Pro.
That's it. That's
nice
it.
Little compact quality headset.
I pulled it out of the box today to show what this thing looks like. And the reason I pulled it out of the box is because this particular one I use. And this one, it's interesting. I used it. I traveled Wednesday. I went to the Bay Area, and I used this a little bit. I use my AirPods typically, right? Just kind of AirPods for my phone. But I had to use my PC. I was at the, waiting at the airlines type thing. And so I was cranking open the PC, and I put this on and took a few Teams calls with this. This is pretty nice. Like, it was a pretty nice, it's nice and loud. I like things a little bit loud, and I didn't want to put the giant headphones on because I carry the giant headphones with me as well. Right. But I put this thing on. It's light. It hangs over your ear. You don't even know it's there. In fact, you don't even know it's there so much that I got up and went to go get like a drink, and I still had this thing. I was wearing this thing. I was no longer on the call, and I'm wearing this thing, and I'm like, oh, how embarrassing is that, to wear this thing? Like, you're in an airport and you keep this thing on and you're like walking around like, who are you? Like,
that reminds me, or that had a flashback in my mind of what I'd call it the early 2000s, when cell phones were really becoming the norm, and you'd see every guy walking around the airport or, around stores with their little Bluetooth earpiece in. So I know exactly what you're saying.
Exactly. And that's what it cracked me up, because I'm like, oh no, that's just too goofy.
I've become one of these guys.
I did. I was like, buy, sell. So it was a bit embarrassing. And I'm like, I quickly pulled it off of my ear, but I thought it was pretty funny. I'm like, all right. But the point is, this little BH BH71. You have an opportunity to win this guy, Brandon. And what are they going to do to win a BH71 delivered right to them wherever they are?
Yeah, I mean, today's going to be interesting because we've got our 21 questions, but in order to win the headset, you've got to ask an intriguing or an interesting question that either stumps us or engages in like a good discussion. It's that simple.
That's it. Put your questions, and they don't have to be difficult, everyone. It doesn't have to be like the deepest technical question that you have, in Teams, Teams rooms, why they're not doing this or why it does this and how to make it. Doesn't have to be difficult. Ask a question that we can deliver some good sort of content on, and you're good to go. Okay.
Yeah, I was actually thinking really quick with that headset and now the flashback. I'm thinking maybe we should also give away a hip holster. And let's like bring back the early 2000s.
The clip?
Yeah, a little cell phone hip holster.
There you go. There you go. All right. Well, there you go. So everyone ask a question today. You got the BH71 on the line. If you ask a question, and you'll start thinking about them because we've got a list of 20 questions, David Letterman style, 20 questions that we're going to show you that we've collected over the past, I don't know how long, but we've collected these questions from customers. And we're going to go through the questions and answer them right here live. Everything Teams Phone Live, episode 33, coming at you. The how-to edition. All right. And Brandon, are you ready?
I am. I'm teeing up my screen because I have a feeling that it's going to be a little show and tell.
All right. All right. Well, here we go. First question. Here we go, Brandon. We're going to start in some sort of chronological order or some sort of order for you. How do you add a carrier in Operator Connect to Microsoft Teams? There you go. Question number 1, Brandon.
Yeah. So carrier to Operator Connect obviously is the way that the newest way to instantly activate your Teams phone for PSTN services. So you're going to head on over to your TAC. That's the Teams Admin Center. And you're going to find your voice section, click on Operator Connect. You're going to want to pick your preferred carrier. In this case, we'll say G12 Communications. So let's go find G12. And, most of the carriers are going to send you off to, their terms and service agreements where you can either sign up for a demo, whatever. So once you've gone through that whole process and let me click on this and I'll get in here. You've made your carrier selection. So G12 Communications, you're just going to fill out a few things and you're going to save all of that. And then of course the carrier will take it from there and walk you and guide you through the process to onboard and activate that service. In the case of G12, it's fairly automated. So you can be up and running in a matter of minutes.
Is that easy? That seems nearly like it just seems too easy, but it's that easy. So now you've added a carrier to Operator Connect. Let me go to the next question. That's pretty straightforward. Let me ask a question. Can you add multiple carriers?
You can. Yep. Mix or match. And where that plays in is one carrier may not serve a region that you need service in. And so you can just add the next carrier that can serve that region.
Plain and simple, done and done. Question number 1, out. David Letterman style there today. Okay, question number 2. How do you assign a number to a user from TCAP or from the Teams Admin Center?
Well, I should probably log into TCAP. I guess I was not
as prepared as you thought you were. Oh, come on, Brandon.
Shame on me.
Just because I gave you the questions 15 minutes ago. Come on.
I gotta find my see. I will say it's while I'm getting logged in, again, if we focus on G12, we have this call automation platform that really makes it really easy for you, but not every carrier is going to have an automation platform. So you may need to coordinate with the carrier to get those numbers loaded into your Teams Admin Center so that you can manage the numbers within the Teams Admin Center. So, and I'll show both really quick here.
I was gonna say that's an important distinction, right? If you've got an automation platform like G12 does as an example, great. You've got this system that you're going to log into and assign. If you don't, you're going to log into your Teams admin center, and Brandon's going to show you what that looks like as well, so that you can add numbers to a user. It's really straightforward and easy, but initially it may be a bit daunting. And so this is where automation, Operator Connect, comes into play, or you can hop into the Teams admin center and assign numbers there. So let's see how this rolls out.
Apparently it's not there we go. It wasn't letting me copy and paste there for a second. Difficulties.
Well, it's the demo difficulties. Yeah. The demo.
It's the demo jitters.
There you go. There you go.
I like the demon comment. The demo. My code just. All right. So a part of the pairing process, this goes back to the operator, that first question, Operator Connect adding a carrier. We're going to connect. If you pick G12, we're going to connect via the automation platform. We're going to pair right into the Teams admin center. And from there, you're just going to go acquire the numbers, or you're going to port in the numbers you want from the carrier. When these numbers come into the automation platform, we automatically then push them up into the TAC, the Teams admin center, and we publish them into your phone number inventory list. So they're there. They can be managed from here, or they can be managed from within our automation platform. So to answer the question now, how do you assign a phone number to a user? Part of our automation platform allows us to read the users and whether they're licensed or not. And if they are licensed, I can just edit that user and I can grab a phone number. This one is, I can't assign this because it's not actually an Operator Connect, but I would just pick a number, save the changes. And as soon as I save that change, that user would get the phone number assigned to their user profile. And then the dial pad becomes active in the client, the Teams client.
Done and done. Question 1. And now question 2 out of the way. All right, Brandon, let's do this. Question number 3. How do you build an automated attendant? This gets into the good sort of meat of the Microsoft Teams phone system, because people often wonder, what are the features? Oh, you can't do this or you can't do that. Often, we hear that quite often because people don't realize how robust a phone system Microsoft Teams is. And so showing what an automated attendant looks like and how it's built in Teams is important. I think showing organizations, both people and users and partners out there, quite frankly, that the Teams phone system is robust and it's quite easy to navigate. If you're used to the Teams admin center, there is a level of comfort that needs to be sort of worked through, right? Whenever you're looking at the Teams admin center, let's say you're coming from a UCaaS provider and you've got everything sort of encapsulated in a user interface that's more sort of internet sort of feeling, right? Whereas in Teams admin center, it's quite robust. There's a lot in there. It's not just your phone system management. It's everything. So it's quite daunting if you're a phone person that's used to managing a phone system and you move to a Teams admin center. Obviously, there's ways to control the auto attendant and call queues from specified users, and we're going to cover that. That's one of the questions a little bit further down. But right now, showing how easy it is, I think, to manage an auto attendant. When you're building a phone system, the first thing you think about as an organization is, how do I build a group of people, and how do I build an answering sort of automated attendant? So how do you do those, Brandon?
Yeah. So most everything you do from a Teams phone perspective is going to fall under the voice menu, sub menu. So the one hint to the users listening is, if you're managing the phone system, there's going to be some times where you're not going to be under the voice, but 90% of the time your call flow management, your policies, all of this stuff falls within the voice sub menu. And as we come down the list, you see there's an auto attendant option. I'm going to click on that, and this is going to display any auto attendants that have already been created, or it's going to give me the ability to add a new auto attendant. So what I'm going to do is, we've pre-built one, and it's going to look identical from a kind of a building perspective and a wizard perspective, but I want to show it pre-populated so it's easier to just kind of walk through it.
Perfect.
So let's grab our main line. First thing you're going to do, give it a name. And then you're going to walk through and you're going to decide what time zone you want to live in, Mountain Time, Pacific Time. Where is your business located? And this is important because your hours of operation are going to be set based on your time zone. Okay. Then you're going to come through and decide language and whether you want people to have, the ability to voice search your directory. You can turn that on and off. And again, I'm not going to go into every detail, but what you can start to see is it's very wizard driven. Microsoft makes it very easy to just flow from step to step to step, and they make it pretty intuitive on what you're doing under each of the sections. And then if you're not totally sure, they've got a little, it's probably small on the screen, but they've got a little information button you can click, and they give you examples, they give you hints, that kind of stuff.
Love it.
So call flow is you're now designing the auto attendant, right? How do you want to greet the users that are calling in? You can upload your own audio file. You can do text to speech. You can even change the voice patterns within Microsoft. And then you get into the calling options. What do you want to do with your auto attendant? Do you want an IVR tree? Do you want to redirect the call to somewhere else? And again, going through, like in this example, we're just setting up 2 options, one for sales, one for support, and we're routing that off to the appropriate groups in the phone system to handle that call. Then we get into hours of operation. Again, the design of the auto attendant is, has to be taken into consideration. So in this example, our main line, we want the IVR to answer 24 hours a day because maybe my support is 24/7, but my sales is only 8 hours a day, right? So again, you have to think about your call flow to know how you want to set up your business hours and where to set your business hours up at, depending on where the call needs to route to. Then after hour flow decisions, call routing options, and down the list we go. This is where you set your holidays, right? Is your business open or closed on holidays? You can influence the call flow based on specific dates. So you can route calls to another type of greeting for specific holidays, or route it off to an after hour service, whatever you want to do with that.
There you go.
Then how you want to search for people in your organization. Do you want to set up custom searchable groups, or do you want to just let people search for all online users? Again, this is just how you're scoping the availability of users within the auto attendant for things like your directory.
Right.
And then setting the phone number, assigning the phone number to the auto attendant so that the call can actually route into that service.
Let me ask a question there, because this is one of the ones where we do get this quite a bit. And I think it's important for users that may be administrators to understand, does the phone number get attached to the auto attendant, or does it get attached to a resource account that's attached to the auto attendant?
Yep, good question. And you can see in this screen, I've got a resource account with a name and the phone number that is associated to the resource account. Phone numbers get tied to users and resources. They do not get tied to services, because the licensing lives on the user. And when you think about what a resource account is, it's just another type of user within the Teams phone system.
Okay. All right. That's a great distinction. I appreciate the answer there. That clears up a lot for a lot of people that don't understand that piece of it. Okay, cool.
Yeah. And then the last piece is who do you want to authorize to manage this auto attendant from the client side, which I believe that's probably a question that's going to come up. So I'm not going to spend time on that because we're going to come back to it. Once that's built, you submit it, it saves, and you've got yourself a serviceable auto attendant.
Excellent. As a dot, okay, as a sub question to the auto attendant, is there a way that your system at G12 Communications, our system at G12 can build an automated attendant, or, a call system, a call tree, a call queue, a call sort of a phone system? Is there a way that it does that for you?
Yeah, our automation platform does provide the ability to, under resource accounts, we have a builder where I can click on the builder, and this is template driven. So I can choose from some default templates, or we can customize them, and it will go out and it will build all the necessary components in the Teams admin center for you. So if you want the resource account, you create it, you allocate the number to the resource account, and then it goes out and builds the auto attendant, call queues, the hours, etc. So yes.
All right. I think you covered it. That's how to build an auto attendant in Microsoft Teams. We'll put that one to bed. Question number 3, Brandon. Question number 3 here is, how do you build a call queue now? So that's, the auto attendant is number 1 here. Let's go build a group of people. I've got a group in sales. I got a group in accounting. Let's just say I got a group of support. How do I build a group of people in Teams?
Yep. So again, under the voice section, and they paired them kind of together because auto attendants and call queues sort of go hand in hand. And if you remember from the auto attendant that I was showing, I've got, as you said, sales and support. So I need to set up queues that can handle that. So I'm going to click on queues. Again, it's going to show everything built. It's also going to show or give you the ability to add new. Again, I'm going to walk through a pre-built one. And the one I'm going to show is the sales queue. The one thing I do want to call out is you'll notice it says unlicensed here. The thing people need to understand about the way Teams licenses resource accounts is you only need to license a resource account if you're going to attach an external phone number to the service. So my auto attendant has the license. It has the phone number associated to that resource account, and that resource account is licensed. My call queues have a resource account, which you'll see here in a second, but I don't need to license it because now when that call routes in, it comes through the licensing of the auto attendant. And from there, it's just internal call routing to get into the call queue. There's no need for that external phone license.
So it doesn't need to be licensed there because you've got the external number attached to the auto attendant, or attached to the resource account that's attached to the auto attendant, and it's just resource to resource engagement or calling. So you don't need to attach a license. It doesn't need to be licensed. Got it.
Yep. So
a question there, and this is just again an add-on question. How many resource accounts are users or Teams tenants allowed?
It's I don't know the actual number off the top of my head. It's a percentage of the number of users, and I can't remember if that's 10% or you get
10 or 25, right? I can't rember which one it is either. That's what
it's a ratio. Yep, I would have to go look it up. It's a ratio of, let's say you have 100 users. Again, I don't know if that's 10 resource account licenses or 25, but what I'll tell you is, at least as of today, I don't think Microsoft is policing that. The reason I say that is my demo environment, I think I have more resource accounts activated than I do users because of all the stuff we're testing.
Right, right.
Hopefully there's not coming a day where they change that, because that would be bad. But, just know that there technically is in the agreement, you do, I think, agree to kind of trying to follow that ratio.
Some sort of limit. There's some sort of limit. Okay, but there's no cost right now. Okay, so there you go. So let's build this this call group here.
Yep. So what you're going to find in the Teams Admin Center, everything is very similar in that it's just kind of wizard based. You just follow the configuration and click next, follow the configuration, click next. So give it a name. Again, we're going to give it a resource account. And the reason you give it a resource account is because the call flow is routing, again, through the user or the resource, not through the service. So you need to have that resource account. And again, there's nothing assigned. You're going to see this warning here. That's not service impacting in this case. It's important to understand when to license, when not to license. From there, the assigning a call ID, what this does is it allows, like in this case, anyone sitting in the sales queue, they can, on their Teams client, if they want to call back outbound to a potential customer or a prospect, they can originate that call from the sales queue number or the auto attendant number instead of their personal line. If they don't want that call to come directly back to them, they want it to maybe come back through the queue. So again, I think we're going to show the other aspect of this later down in our question list. Set the language again, and we're moving on. Again, on the call queue, do you want to have a quick upfront greeting that says, hey, thanks for calling the sales queue, blah, 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 please hold. You can then decide whether you want custom hold music or you want to play the team's default hold music. And then from here, you set up your answering decisions on who do you want to answer that call. You can, from a routing perspective, there's some flexibility here. You can choose a team, so that when it says choose a team, that's the Microsoft Teams team.
Wow.
Then you can go add users to and from within the Teams client. So again, now you give control. Yeah, you give control over to someone that doesn't need Teams Admin Center access to decide who's a part of that call queue, who's available, who's not. Or you can hard code them if you don't want that flexibility. And then within here, you can also add groups. These are Active Directory groups that you could, bundle user assignments from a admin perspective. There is one benefit to choosing a team, and that's that it allows you to access the call queue from within the team inside of Teams.
That we'll show that in a little while, but I really want to break that down because that is so cool. So if you have a team built, a support team, a group of people built in Teams, it's an actual team in Teams. You're taking a call from the phone system and you're driving it into that Teams group. And can you control how that Teams group rings, Brandon? Can you say I want it to ring down a particular sort of group like that, or does it just blast everybody? How does it? Oh, there we go.
Oh, that's very next step in the call queue is how do you want to select your agents on availability? You can pick round robin, longest idle. You can do a call blast that simul rings all your agents. It really, again, it's based on what your business requirement is. And then you can also route based on presence. So let's say I'm in the sales queue, but I'm presenting to another customer. It can see that I'm in do not disturb or I'm in presenting mode. And so it's going to know, even if I was the longest idle, it's going to know, don't route that call on to that sales agent. And then another important one is you can decide whether agents are allowed to opt out of the queue, meaning put themselves unavailable to ever take calls. You can provide that flexibility if you want.
All right.
And then you kind of get into, how do you want to handle overflow? How long do you want to let people sit in the queue? What do you want to do when calls need to overflow or calls need to time out? And again, lots of flexibility on how you set this up. You can route it to voicemail. You could route it off to another call queue. You could route it to a specific person. You could route it to maybe a reception. However you want to do it. And again, that gets set up for all of the different scenarios, whether it's call overflow, call timeout, or no agents available.
This is a really, really robust call group / queue capability, right? I mean, the capabilities are much stronger than I thought even. So that's pretty cool. I'm particularly excited about the whole ringing a team in Teams because you do. I mean, handing off that sort of management piece of it to a group that is in that group. I'm like, okay, I will send all the calls to sales as an example, but having that capability to manipulate that group in Teams is pretty awesome. And not to mention being able to take that call from right inside the Teams window. So if you're in a group of people, and maybe Brandon will show this later, but when we get to the user interface, but having that, the dial pad essentially different than when you see it over here on your left-hand side.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, this is my left. So on your left-hand side in that top left corner, right, it puts it down into that call group on the right-hand side when you're in a group. So this is pretty cool that that you can take those calls and have that sit right there. It is. So you can just take that call right there.
Yep. So notice I'm sitting in a team.
Yep.
And I'm part of that team call group within the call queue. So I have the ability again to make myself available or unavailable to receive the call into that team. And then again, I don't have to leave to go back to my dial pad, as you were talking about, to make phone calls. I can make them from right within that team call tab.
That's great.
And that automatically shows up as soon as you activate that service within the Teams admin center.
Man, that's cool.
Queue.
Okay. All right. We're gonna pick up the pace a little bit because we've that's how you build a call group in Microsoft Teams.
Yep.
Whew, done with that one. The next one, Brandon, how do you manage call timeframes, or how do you manage timeframes in Microsoft Teams?
Yeah, I mean the time frame kind of goes back to the auto attendant, right? Where I was showing, let's pick on sales this time. It gets associated to the auto attendant. So if I try to click on that and I get to call flow, I set my business hours on the auto attendant, right? And then I decide what I want to do after those hours. So you'll notice my main line, remember, was 24 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
And then once I press 1 for sales, it routes me on to the next auto attendant for sales that then puts its own hours to influence that call flow specific to sales. So that's how you manage the hours. The only other piece, and I don't remember if this is another question, is you predefine your holidays over here under its own category. Here, holidays. So I'm going to create my holidays here, and then I can go associate the holidays back in the call queues and auto attendants.
All right, there you go. Hours of operation, poof, done. Next one, Brandon, how do you manage 911?
Yeah, I'm going to try to keep this one very high because you can get very deep.
Keep it high level.
The two main things is if you're an on-prem organization with office locations, you set up under locations, you set up your network topology, defining your locations, and then tying your emergency addresses to those locations. So like I have an example of G12 headquarters, and then from there I can associate addresses to that. So all that means at the end of the day is if I walk into the G12 headquarters office and I plug into the network, based on the network topology, it's going to detect that I'm in that location and it's going to hard code my 911 address to that. On the flip side, for the work from home users, there's also the ability to allow for location-based 911, where if I'm a user and I'm sitting at a Starbucks in downtown Seattle, I can, let me find my dial pad. You'll see right down here, I can customize based on where I'm moving around to. I can enter my own address here, look it up, validate it, confirm it, and once it's set, that's going to be my 911 address location that routes me to that PSAP in that location, and gives emergency personnel the required data they need. So that's 911 at a 100,000 foot view.
That's right. It gets more complicated than that for sure, but we're going to keep it light and keep it quick because we've got a whole bunch of questions to answer. That's the 911 question answer. Now, let me get rid of that one. How do you change calling policies for different roles?
Yep. Again, back under voice in the Teams admin center, there's a section called, it was calling policies, you said, right?
Calling policy, yeah.
Okay, just making sure. My eyes saw something else. I'm like, wait, did he say that? So it's pretty simple, right? Your calling policies get set by default, they call it global org-wide default, but then you can create custom policies based on how you want to influence the permissions or capabilities of users. So as an example, because I know we're going to bring this up later, I have a call recording with screen pop calling policy that's set for specific users that allows them to record calls, record meetings, and screen pop. And you can see if I click on view users, you're going to see I've only got 2 users with the permissions for that calling policy. So to answer the question, the way you set it after you've created the calling policy is you're going to manage the users up in the user section of Teams Admin Center. You're going to click on the users you want to set that for. You're going to go to policies, and you can assign the custom policies by user here.
All right. That's interesting. I mean, that's great. I mean, when you have, obviously every organization has people that are in different roles, and you need calling policies established for these different roles. I mean, the call pops, you wouldn't want, let's just say, reception as an example, when they're doing a high volume of calls coming in, to necessarily take a screen pop for every single call that comes in. But when you get the call over to your sales group or your accounting group, it's quite useful to have the account information pop up in the middle of that. So, so being able to create those policies that separate each of those groups or each of those users, so that it can do the right thing when on the right organization, the right person. Okay, cool. That is the calling policies. Now we're going to get into some real simple ones, because and these are going to move a little quicker, which is good. How do you answer a call? Quite often we get organizations asking us to do training. Now, we've put a link in the comments on some Microsoft Teams phone training. And so we've put that there so you can use that as a reference. It's a really good document, a really good video, and really good training, corresponding text. However, we're going to go through some basic questions and basic how-tos right on this, right on the show here, Everything Teams Phone Live. But for those of you that are, Microsoft guys and, live in Microsoft and answer calls in Microsoft all day long, hold tight. We've got some really cool ones coming up, and there's going to be some movie magic that we're going to show you at the end of the show. It's going to be pretty cool. Okay. So how do you answer a call in Microsoft Teams? I'm training my organization. We're really scared because we're moving to Microsoft Teams from a Cisco phone system or a ShoreTel phone system. And people are not used to answering. All you kids that are out there know how to answer soft phones because you've lived on soft phones for the last, 5 years or 7 years. But folks like me, we like a physical phone. I'm just kidding. So moving to a soft phone is a real sort of daunting thing. How do I operate my day clicking on my computer instead of just picking up the phone? Show me how to do it.
I had to switch screens because the screen I'm on won't show the call present so that I can show how to answer that phone call. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to minimize a whole bunch of stuff here, just so the screen's not too noisy. Let me rearrange. All right, so I've got, and it doesn't matter whether I'm on the call tab or not. The important thing is to note and pay attention to the lower section of my screen over here by the recycle bin, because this is where the presentation of the call is going to happen when I make a call inbound. So I'm going to make a quick call in. Let's see, 720. So I'm just going to call my number directly. You're probably going to see a screen pop happen potentially because my user's set up for it, but I'm going to hopefully keep that off the screen for this. 4742. All right, so here comes the call. Okay, so you can see the call presenting here. Answer this here because if I mute it, it's going to mute the screen for the show. Let me try it. Let's see if I can do this. I don't think I can though.
All right.
Okay, so I've answered the call, and it's going to pull up its own screen, assuming you still hear me, right, Rick?
I still hear you loud and clear.
Okay.
Actually, I hear you even louder and clearer than before.
Well, that's odd. Like maybe you're getting 2 streams of my voice now. But you can see I've got the call answered. Ignore that call recording thing. That's something else. But that's that question. Yeah, I clicked the answer button down below. It popped up this screen. And now I'm active on the call.
All right. Boom. I've answered the call, Brandon. Now, how do I transfer that call?
So up in the top right corner of the call, the active call I'm on, you've got a bunch of different options to choose from as far as what you want to do while you're on that call. And you'll see that there is a transfer option that I'm going to click on, and you've got a couple options. I can just transfer that call blindly, or I can consult and transfer if I want to do a warm handoff, meaning maybe I got a call in from sales and I want to transfer to you, but I want to give you, a heads up before you take that caller. And so if I click on it, it's going to put the call on hold, and then I get to choose then whether it's another phone number or a person that I can then go transfer that call off to.
That easy. Okay. Well, that's call transfer out. How do you park a call?
Let me cancel
And just
this.
I'll explain what call park is. Just everybody, if you're using a business phone system today and you call park something, right? You want to park the call so that someone else can pick up that call. Microsoft Teams will do it.
Yep. So under more, you've got a park option. Now this goes back to calling policies. This, you can control who parks calls based on the policy. So I'm going to go ahead and park this call. It's going to put the caller on hold, and then it's going to give me a code. This is the important part of call parking is making sure you know what the code is to retrieve that call. Because I might IM this to a person and say, hey, you've got a call on 101, a call parked on 101. Okay, so I'm going to close. I've closed out my call window, and you'll see right here on my main client, I've got another notification that lets me know that call is parked at code 101. And then simply as soon as I push that off to whoever needs to retrieve it, their client obviously is going to look the same. They're not actually going to see that, so I'm going to dismiss that. They're going to see down below their dial pad parked calls. So I'm going to click park calls, and I'm going to enter the pickup code 101, and I'm going to retrieve that call.
So in reality here, and when I'm thinking about how this is being used and how this could be used really efficiently, if you grabbed a call, let's just say your reception, or okay, your reception, whatever it is, you grab a call and you park the call. Okay, so I park it, it's on 104, whatever it's going to be on. I can just take that and go, hey, Brandon, a little chat, hey, Brandon, you have a call waiting on 104. It's Bob Richards, he's looking for a refund for some reason. Yep. Right? Yep. So then you see the chat and you're like, okay, cool. I can just go grab that. I can just grab that line and just go tap 104 and retrieve that call.
Yep. One thing I suspect is going to happen eventually, I think, I can't confirm or deny this, but I suspect that eventually when you click on parked calls, it's going to give you a list of the calls that are parked. So you can just dynamically retrieve them instead of needing to know a code. Because today, I think and if any Microsoft people are listening, take note of this from an end user perspective, that park code is the key to retrieving the call. So let's say I'm the receptionist and I park a call, and then I get distracted and I forget that number and I have already dismissed it from my view. That call's in no man's land now. I'm not retrieving that call. So anyway, that's that. That's call parking.
All right. Call parking done. Okay. What's next? How to add people to a call.
Yep. So
we get this one all the time. Like, how many people can we add to this call? Like, this whole daisy chain thing is still a thing. It's pretty funny. So let's see what that looks like.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is when you think about a phone call, if you're a Teams user already using Teams Meeting, it's the same concept. I can just click on the people option here, and I can invite them to the call. Right? Again, it can be a phone number, it could be another person. It
So their cell
simple,
phone. You can just add their
Yep.
cell phone in there, type it out, boop, it just pulls them on in.
Yep, exactly. It'll pull them in, bridge them on, and away you go on that conference call.
And that's how you add people to the call.
It's more robust than three-way, a three-way calling like cell phones allow, right? It's true conference where I can keep bringing people into the call.
We've done a total of 6 people or something like that. Don't know the answer exactly what the limit is. In fact, that's a good question. If any of you know what the limit is for people that you can just continue to manually add on like this, not in a conference call, put it in the chat. That'd be pretty cool to know. If you're a Microsoft person to know the answer, type it in there. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, that's how you do that. Gone, done. That's how you add people to a call. How do you make a call from a call queue? That's a good one. How do you make a call from a call queue, Brandon?
Yep. So let me hang up on myself. All right. If I'm part of the sales queue, which I think I am, what I can do on my dial pad is, let's say I'm going to go dial some phone number, and you've got to dial the phone number first, or you've got to pre-dial it first, and then once it's entered, I have this call button here on my dial pad. But instead of just clicking dial, I can hit this little down arrow. And any call queue that's been set up or auto attendant that's been set up with my name as a person authorized to make that phone call, I can select it. And this is based on the resource account name. So again, the hint there is to think about how you want to name your resource accounts so people know when to use them. The other nifty feature is you can see as I'm hovering over it, I know it's small on the screen, you can see the phone number that pops up that's assigned to that resource account. So like on this case, I can see it's the toll-free number. So I would know, okay, that's the sales queue that I want to call from.
So that's cool. I mean, that's if I'm an IT group, let's just say, and I've got a group of 25 IT guys and gals, and we're answering calls and supporting a larger organization, and we want to make a call out to, someone's called in, maybe they've left us a message. We see them, we got to reach out to them. Let's reach out to them. We can populate the caller ID with the right group's caller ID. So this is the IT phone number that's calling me. So I know it's IT calling me back to answer my question.
Yeah. One thing I do want to point out, I accidentally hit the new Teams radio button, is this is, let's see, switch me back. This is not part. I don't think this is part of our questions, and I know we're coming up on the hour, but I do want to point this out really quick. And it has to do with users can set up delegates to handle calls on their behalf. So as a user, I can go in and I can set up a delegate so that when I get a phone call, it also calls my delegate. As the delegate, though, I have permission to call out on behalf of the person I'm taking the delegated calls for, right? But Microsoft has added a feature now where I can, up on top, you see these tabs, I can click on the person who delegated me, and now I don't have to constantly switch back and forth. Every call I make presents on behalf of the person who delegated me.
Oh,
I
that's fantastic.
To point that out.
Yeah. So let me from a scenario perspective, I'm a law firm, and I've got a legal assistant that works with me, and maybe they're taking my calls or answering my calls because I'm, doing some contract work on a call or whatever. So every call that comes in and out can be answered by my work partner or my legal assistant, whatever it may be, and they know that it's coming into my number. They're answering it on my behalf, and then they're calling outbound on my behalf if we need to have somebody come on and present my name and number.
Yep. So I'll make a quick phone call here. I'm in as the delegated party, so I'm actually calling my user, but you can see here that I'm this user leading. And this user can also answer on my behalf. So you saw 2 calls there.
Yep. Okay. Man, that's really cool. Okay, this one's going to take a little bit of time, I'm sure. I'm curious to see how you're going to show us this one, but how do you, oh, that's the wrong one. That's an old one. How do you connect a physical phone to Microsoft Teams?
Yep. I got to get back to the Teams Admin Center. There's two ways to do this. For Teams, full on Teams firmware certified phones, you're going to go into the Teams Admin Center. You're going to go to Teams devices. You're going to pop down to phones, and you are going to come up to actions and provision devices. And you can upload, if you've got hundreds of phones to do, you can upload. They give you a template to download. You can do all of that, or you can add manually, the address or the MAC address of the device, just like any other provisioning service. And then once that is added, the phone, you're going to get prompted to sign in on the phone. And as soon as you sign in, it's going to go provision that phone for the user and bring it online. So you can see, like, it's not online at the moment, but I have a Yealink MP56 on my user. It's literally 3 or 4 clicks for provisioning that for the user, and it's on and done. So that's method number 1. Method number 2 is what Microsoft calls SIP Gateway. That allows me to bring a whole bunch of SIP, just open SIP phones, like your Cisco multi-platform phones, I think even Avaya is coming to the table, some legacy Yealink phones, audio code phones, on and on the list goes. But you would add them here. Even ATAs can be added here. So like I have an ATA that's running an analog device. So old school phone that's tied to an ATA registered, assigned to my user. So now I can get phone calls that way as well. So that is how you, in a nutshell, add devices. Again, same thing with the SIP device. You have to add the device before it can, again, by MAC address, before it can provision itself to the user.
All right, there we go. Boom, we're moving on. Brandon, how do you turn on real-time transcription and call recording?
That's back under calling policies. Again, you can define this and assign it by specific users, but it's right here called cloud recording for calling. I can flip that on, and transcription, I can flip that to on. And as soon as I do that and apply it to a user, they are capable of turning on and off call recording on a per call basis.
All right. All right. That's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Okay, done and done. Boom. How do I assign users to a call queue as a manager? So I'm not the TAC, I'm not the Teams Admin Center or the Teams admin. Mm-hmm. How do I go manipulate that call group?
Yep. So there's 2 spots that has to be done. And this always, because once you set it, you kind of forget it. So this always stumps me. But I'm ready for this one. The first thing that you have to do is you have to set up what's called voice application policies. So this policy allows me to define which users I can delegate control over for auto attendance and call queues, and then what they're allowed to do. Are they allowed to adjust business hour gradings, after hour gradings? Are they allowed to manage auto attendance, call queues, one or the other? Right? So you can get pretty granular with who's allowed to do what. Once you set up that policy, you're going to assign that policy to the user. And then again, back in, say, the sales auto attendant, you have to assign the authorized user. Once that user is authorized, if we come back to the client, you can see my user under settings. I have the ability to go manage. Let's see if I can find it. I never remember where it's at. Let's see. There we go. Under calls, you can see call queues and auto attendants show up. So let's find the sales one. Let's click on it. And you can see I have the ability to change the greetings. Could be you have inclement weather. So I come in and I adjust the message and I save. That populates it all the way back out into the phone system. No need for me to have Teams admin access to adjust those things.
So that's the call queue and the auto attendant, how I adjust those things as a manager. Don't need to be Teams admin. And let's do that one out of the way. Okay. How do I change I already did that one. How can you create a rule to automatically delete voicemails? That's interesting. How do you do that?
Yeah, that's a huge topic, but it's done through another Microsoft product called Power Automate. Um, I think it's now flow.microsoft.com, redirects me to make.powerautomate.com. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. I'll just if it loads, I'll quickly show. You just create a flow. You'll see I've got a flow here that's mine's a little more doing a little more than what you just asked in the question. I've got voicemail going to chat, but then it's deleting the voicemail, so it's going to answer the question.
Okay, that answers it. Just to automatically delete, but you're sending a chat also.
Yep. So I'm going to edit this thing, and it's really just three components. I'm detecting when a voicemail arrives. I'm posting that voicemail via a card with the transcription to my teams. But ultimately, then what you see is I'm deleting the voicemail, which it's in the email. So Microsoft associates voicemail to email. That's how they indicate that you have a voicemail on your team's phone, is that there's a voicemail email in your inbox. And so all you have to do is delete that email, and it will automatically delete the voicemail on Teams.
But you still have the voicemail. But you still have the voicemail, like in your Teams from a notification perspective, and in your voicemail. Or sorry, and in your and in your email. Yeah. So you may delete it off the system, but you still have the voicemail.
I have the voicemail because I'm sending it to a Teams chat. If you wanted to retain the voicemail, you would, instead of deleting the email, you would move it somewhere else to get it off of the phone system.
Right. So when you delete it from the voicemail system, you still have it in Teams chat. So you still have your voicemail. Like you can still get it. You still listen to it. It's just deleted from the phone system, as an example. So what does that do? That prevents people from being able to access the voicemail from a physical device, as an example. Is that what it does?
Yep. It does that, or it just, again, maybe it's just time efficiency, right? So you can see an example here where I think last week or whenever it was, you called, you left me a voicemail, and it just sent me the card where I can quickly read the voicemail. I can see it was you that called me, right? It says received from Rick Garcia, gives me your callback number, but it's no longer on the system. So again, maybe I just want to self-manage, or to your point, I don't want my users to have direct access to a voicemail system.
All right, boom, that's it. How do you add a third-party app into Microsoft Teams?
Third-party apps are on the user client side, where you can click into the App Store. You can search your app. Let's say you want to activate texting for your phone number. You can go look up texting. In this case, I've already installed it, but you would click the add button. As soon as you add it, it's going to give you access to it via your installed apps. And then once you have access,
go ahead. I was say, go ahead.
Yeah, once you have access, then you can just open it up and off you go. You're into that app.
Perfect segue, because the next question is, how do you text in Microsoft Teams?
That's $1 million question, because today, without a third-party partner like G12, you're not going to text SMS text in or MMS text in Teams. You need an application that enables you to do that, which is this app that I have sitting here.
All right. So
you'd have to work with a third party to activate that SMS service.
Got it. So there's your text messaging app right there. That's how you text in Microsoft Teams. Use third-party app that does it, and work with G12 there. Okay, there we go. How do you activate a CRM screen pop?
That's, again, back under calling policies. Get back out of here, calling policies, and I've got the one that's allowing call recording with screen pop. It's literally 3 steps to activate it. It's enabling open apps in browser for incoming PSTN calls, set that to on. What URL do you want to point that screen pop to? And then just the simple variable of the calling party number that gets pushed into the CRM for record popping. So knowing who's calling, as an example. Once that's set, the only other thing that has to happen is on the user settings, you've got to let's see if I can remember where it's at. I think it's under calls. You've got to allow the client to be able to open a third-party browser window on Screen Pop. So those are the 3 settings.
All right. Here we go. Last question, because we're at the top of the hour and we finished it perfectly timed. Brandon, how do you get all your questions answered with Teams Phone and Operator Connected?
I mean, it's simple to tune in every Friday to Everything Teams Phone Live. It's that simple.
Every Friday. Okay, ready for some movie magic while we clean this? While I clean this mess up here, I didn't take the time to write all those things on and waste all these little pieces of paper, because all these are actually, in fact, blank little cards. There's nothing written on them. The questions came from a piece of paper. How about that? Didn't even have to do the piece of paper, but I thought it'd be interesting to have it right in front of me that way, so I could look at these and that.
Giving away your trade secrets, man.
Movie magic, baby. That's some movie magic for you. So for everyone tuning in this Friday, episode 33 of Everything Teams Phone Live, we appreciate it. We'll see who wins this drawing, this headset for this BH71 Pro Yealink. It's pretty awesome. We want to thank you for joining us for this episode. Episode 34 is going to be epic. Episode 34 is going to be epic because it's going to have the Microsoft SLG guys. That's the state and local government is going to be with us, and they're going to explain what is interesting about Microsoft Teams Phone for the state and local government markets, so that you, either as sellers or you as partners or you as customers, understand more about Microsoft Teams Phone in your segment. So, Brandon, without further ado, that's the end of this show. Brandon, why don't you sign us off, buddy?
I was going to say, go spend your weekend making Teams Phone your phone system and enjoy your weekend. Thanks for joining us.
See ya, everyone. Have a good day. See ya.